Did you know cortisol can wake you up at 3 a.m.? If you wake up in the middle of the night or your sleep feels light, broken, or never truly restorative, this pattern often feels confusing and frustrating. Many people assume it is just insomnia or something they are doing wrong before bed. Sleep science explains there may be a deeper signal involved. During the night, your brain follows a delicate rhythm. Melatonin should stay steady to protect deep sleep. Cortisol is meant to remain low until morning. But when the brain's safety response turns on too early, the sleep switch can be partially blocked. This creates awakenings without noise, pain, or clear reason. The mind may feel alert even while the body is exhausted. This pattern is linked to what experts call the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response. It happens when the brain stays on quiet alert at night. Even without danger, the nervous system remains watchful. That vigilance can weaken the deep sleep signal. The result is fragmented sleep and early morning wake-ups. This is not weakness, and it is not your fault. Understanding why the brain does this opens the door to the next step. I'm Dr. Sarah, a sleep medicine specialist with a background in psychiatry, and for years I've worked with people who struggle at night. Many of them describe the same confusing pattern. They feel deeply tired when the day ends. Their body wants rest, calm, and recovery. But as soon as night arrives, something shifts. The brain seems to wake up instead of powering down. What I want you to understand first is this. If your mind races at night, that does not mean you are anxious by nature. If your body feels heavy but your thoughts stay active, that is not a flaw. And if you wake up around 2, 3, or 4 a.m. without a clear reason, it does not mean your sleep system is broken. Sleep science explains this pattern happens for a reason. It is the brain responding to internal signals. At night, the brain constantly scans for safety. This happens automatically without conscious thought. When the nervous system feels calm, sleep deepens naturally. Melatonin stays steady and protects the sleep cycle. Cortisol remains low until the morning hours. But when the brain senses imbalance, even subtly, it can shift into alert mode without warning. This is why so many people say, "My body is exhausted, but my brain won't shut off." That racing mind is not random. It is often part of a protective brain safety response. The brain believes it needs to stay slightly awake, so it keeps the sleep switch only half engaged. Deep rest becomes difficult to maintain. From a clinical perspective, this response is very common. Studies show it appears across all ages and lifestyles alike. It affects people with busy lives and calm lives alike. It can happen even when stress feels low during the day. The brain does not need a real threat to react. It only needs the perception of imbalance. That perception often builds quietly over time. This is why blaming yourself never helps. You are not failing at sleep. Your brain is not malfunctioning. It is doing what it was designed to do: protect you. The real question is not why you wake up at night. The real question is what signal tells the brain to stay alert. And that leads directly into what happens next inside the sleep system. Many people describe the experience in almost the same words. You feel completely exhausted by the end of the day. Your eyes feel heavy and your body wants rest. You lie down expecting sleep to come naturally, but instead of slowing down, the mind suddenly speeds up. Thoughts begin to stack, jump, or replay. This is where the night quietly changes direction. This moment often surprises people the most. There is no obvious stress happening in the room. The lights are off and the environment feels calm, yet the brain feels alert, observant, and awake. This pattern is commonly described as a racing mind. Sleep science often refers to it as a hyperactive brain at night, and it happens more often than most people realize. What feels confusing is the mismatch inside the body. Physically, everything feels ready for sleep. Muscles want to relax, and energy feels depleted. But mentally, the system does not power down. The nervous system stays slightly activated. This keeps the brain from fully shifting into rest mode, so sleep becomes lighter or harder to sustain. Here is the key insight many people never hear. You are not lacking the ability to sleep. Your body still knows how to rest deeply. The issue is not the quantity of sleep drive. The issue is that the sleep switch is being blocked. When that switch is interrupted, rest cannot stabilize, and the brain remains half awake. This blockage is not caused by weak willpower. It is not caused by poor discipline or bad habits alone. It is a biological response inside the brain. The brain safety response stays partially active. That response tells the nervous system to remain alert, even when no real danger exists. This is why forcing sleep usually fails. Understanding this changes how it feels. It removes blame from the person experiencing it. Nothing is wrong with you for feeling this way. Your brain is responding to internal signals. Those signals shape how cortisol and melatonin behave at night, and when that balance shifts, sleep becomes fragile. To see why this response starts in the first place, we need to look deeper at what happens during the night. During healthy sleep, the brain follows a precise nightly rhythm. Melatonin gradually rises as darkness settles in. This hormone helps protect deep and restorative sleep. At the same time, cortisol is meant to remain low until the morning hours. During healthy sleep, the brain follows a precise nightly rhythm. Melatonin gradually rises as darkness settles in. This hormone helps protect deep and restorative sleep. At the same time, cortisol is meant to remain low until the morning hours. This nightly rhythm should remain steady as the night progresses. The brain moves naturally through deep sleep cycles. The deep sleep signal stays strong and uninterrupted. Heart rate slows and breathing becomes regular. The nervous system shifts into repair mode. This is when memory, immunity, and energy reset. Nothing needs to be forced for this to happen.
But sleep science shows this rhythm is sensitive. When the brain senses internal stress signals, even subtle ones you may not feel consciously, the system can change its behavior. The brain begins to question nighttime safety. It does not need a real threat to react. Perception alone can shift the balance. In these moments, cortisol can rise too early. This hormone is designed to promote alertness. It normally prepares the body for the morning, but when it appears during the night, it sends a powerful message to the brain. That message is simple and direct: stay alert. Once cortisol rises, the deep sleep signal weakens. The brain reduces its commitment to deep rest. Sleep becomes lighter and more fragile. Small awakenings happen more easily. The nervous system stays partially activated. The sleep switch no longer stays fully engaged. This makes it hard to remain asleep. This is why so many people wake up around 3 a.m. It is not a random hour or coincidence. It reflects a shift in brain chemistry and timing. Melatonin loses its protective strength. Cortisol steps in too soon. The brain's safety response takes over quietly. To understand why the brain enters this state, we need to look at the mechanism behind it. This pattern has a name in sleep science. It is called the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response. This term describes a specific state of the brain at night. It is not a diagnosis or a disorder. It is a functional response of the nervous system. Experts in sleep health use it to explain repeated night awakenings, especially when no obvious cause is present. In this state, the brain does not fully shut down. It remains partially alert during the night. The brain's safety response stays quietly active. This alertness interferes with deep, restorative sleep. The nervous system avoids full relaxation. The sleep switch cannot stay completely engaged. Sleep becomes easier to interrupt. The goal of this response is protection. From the brain's perspective, staying alert feels safer, even when no danger exists in reality. The brain prioritizes vigilance over rest. This is why awakenings feel sudden and unexplained. The system reacts before you can think about it. It all happens automatically. One important detail is often misunderstood. The time of awakening may change from person to person. Some wake at 1 a.m., others at 3 or 4 a.m. Some struggle to fall asleep at all. Others wake repeatedly throughout the night. The schedule looks different on the surface, but the mechanism underneath is the same. Sleep science explains that this response disrupts balance. Melatonin loses its stabilizing influence. Cortisol becomes easier to release too soon. The nervous system stays on standby. Deep sleep cycles shorten or disappear. This creates the feeling of never fully resting, even after spending hours in bed. Understanding the mechanism brings clarity. It shows there is a real biological explanation. Nothing about this is imagined or exaggerated. Your experience follows a known pattern, one that researchers continue to study closely. And once the mechanism is clear, it becomes possible to explore how the brain can be guided out of this state. Imagine your brain as a night security system. Its main job is not sleep. Its main job is safety. Sleep only happens when the system feels secure enough. When everything appears calm, the system powers down. This process happens quietly and automatically. You do not need to control it. When the brain feels safe, the lights go down. The nervous system relaxes into a low alert state. Melatonin continues to protect deep sleep. Cortisol stays low and inactive. The sleep switch remains fully engaged. Breathing slows and the body restores itself. Sleep flows without effort. In this state, the brain trusts the night. It allows long periods of deep rest. The deep sleep signal stays strong. Awakenings are rare and brief. Even small noises are ignored. The system knows it can remain offline. This is how healthy sleep feels. But when the brain detects a threat, things change. The threat does not need to be real. It can be internal or subtle. A shift in hormones can be enough. The brain responds before logic steps in. Its job is to protect first. Rest becomes secondary. When this happens, alarms quietly activate. Vigilance increases inside the nervous system. Cortisol becomes easier to release. Melatonin loses its stabilizing role. The sleep switch loosens its hold. Sleep becomes lighter and fragmented. Awakenings occur without warning. The neural sleep inhibition response is that invisible alarm. It does not scream or cause panic. It simply keeps the system on standby. The brain believes it is doing the right thing, even though it disrupts rest. To calm this alarm, the brain needs different signals, and understanding those signals is the next step. Over time, this pattern begins to leave quiet traces. Sleep becomes lighter and less restorative. You may spend enough hours in bed, yet wake up feeling unfinished or drained. The body rests, but the brain never fully does. The deep sleep signal remains inconsistent. Recovery feels incomplete. Mental fatigue often follows. Thoughts feel slower during the day. Concentration requires more effort. Small tasks can feel heavier than they should. The brain is using extra energy at night. That cost shows up the next morning, not as exhaustion, but as mental weight. Focus can become unreliable. Attention drifts more easily. Memory feels less sharp. This is not a lack of ability. It reflects disrupted sleep cycles. When deep sleep is shortened, the brain has less time to reset. Some people also notice quiet nighttime anxiety, not panic or racing fear, just a subtle sense of alertness, a feeling of being half awake. The nervous system never fully powers down. This keeps the brain's safety response active, even in a calm environment. These changes often build slowly. They do not appear all at once. That makes them easy to dismiss or normalize. Many people assume this is just aging or stress, but sleep science shows a different explanation. These are signals of nighttime alertness, not personal failure.
This does not mean something is wrong with you. Your brain is not broken or weak. It is responding the only way it knows how, trying to protect you through vigilance, even if that protection is imperfect. Understanding this removes blame and opens the door to a calmer solution. The good news is simple and important. Sleep science shows this state is not permanent. The brain is not locked into this pattern forever. What feels stuck can change. This is because the brain is adaptable. It is constantly learning from signals, even during adulthood. The nervous system is designed to adjust. When it receives consistent signals of safety, it begins to soften its alert response. The brain's safety response can quiet down. The neural sleep inhibition response can ease. This process happens gradually, not instantly, but it is very real. The brain can relearn that nighttime is safe. It does not forget how to sleep. It simply needs reassurance. When safety signals return, the sleep switch becomes easier to engage. Deep sleep can stabilize again. Rest starts to feel natural. One important thing to understand is this: forcing sleep does not work. Trying harder often increases alertness. The brain interprets effort as urgency. That can increase nighttime vigilance. This is why pressure around sleep backfires. It keeps the system on edge. What helps instead is restoring safety signals. These signals guide hormone timing. They support steady melatonin release. They prevent early cortisol activation. They calm the nervous system at night. They reinforce circadian rhythm alignment. This is how sleep becomes allowed again. When these signals return, the brain responds. It lowers its guard gradually. The deep sleep signal grows stronger. Nighttime awakenings become less frequent, not because sleep is forced, but because safety is restored. And that leads directly to how this support can be created. That is why many experts in sleep health explain something important. Support for sleep should work with the brain, not override it or silence it. The nervous system responds best to gentle signals, signals that feel safe and familiar, not abrupt or artificial. This is how lasting calm is created at night. Sleep science consistently shows this pattern. When support is natural, the brain stays in control. The sleep switch is not forced. Melatonin is allowed to rise naturally. Cortisol follows its proper timing. The circadian rhythm stays intact. This alignment builds trust inside the system. This is very different from sedation. Sedation pushes the body to shut down. It does not teach the brain that it is safe. In some cases, it increases nighttime vigilance. The brain remains alert underneath the surface. That can keep the neural sleep inhibition response active, even when consciousness fades. What works better is gentle support, support that respects brain biology, support that calms the nervous system, support that strengthens the deep sleep signal. Nothing is forced or rushed. The brain is simply given what it needs and allowed to do the rest. That is why a natural sleep support exists. It is designed to complement the brain's process, not fight against it. Its role is to reinforce safety signals at night, to help stabilize hormone timing, and to support relaxation at the nervous system level without overwhelming the system. If you want to learn more about this option, you will find it in the first pinned comment below.
There is no pressure and no urgency. It is simply there as support. But to understand why timing matters so much, especially during the early morning hours, we need to look at what happens next inside the sleep cycle. Remember this as you think about your sleep. You are not broken. Your body has not forgotten how to rest. Your sleep system is not failing you. What you are experiencing follows a known biological pattern, one that sleep science continues to study, and one that can be gently reversed. Your brain may simply be stuck in a specific state, a state called the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response. In this state, the brain stays protective at night. It keeps the nervous system slightly alert. It interferes with the sleep switch, not because something is wrong, but because safety signals feel incomplete. This response is not permanent. It is shaped by signals the brain receives. Hormone timing, nervous system balance, and rhythm all matter. When melatonin is supported, sleep deepens. When cortisol timing stabilizes, awakenings decrease. When the circadian rhythm realigns, nights feel calmer. The brain responds to consistency, not force. When the right signals are restored, things begin to shift. The brain's safety response softens. The deep sleep signal grows stronger. Sleep becomes more stable and less fragile. Awakenings happen less often, and rest starts to feel more natural again. This change happens gradually, not overnight. What matters most is understanding timing, especially the early morning hours. Between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., the brain is especially sensitive. This is when cortisol can rise too early and when alertness can quietly return. That window holds important clues most people never hear explained. In the next video, pinned at the end of this one, I explain why the brain becomes more alert during that exact window, what signals trigger that response, and which signals help calm it down. This builds directly on what you learned here. It fills in the missing piece of the pattern, and it helps you understand what your brain is really doing at night.